Welcome everyone to another IDW Sonic comic review, and today we're looking at issue 45, the start of a new arc called Trial by Fire, which itself is part of a larger saga called The Road to issue 50. Before we continue, spoilers from this point forward. The past two arcs have been insane, with a tower full of freaky experiments, to finally dealing with the Deadly Six. What the two stories had in common was, there's a subplot revolving around the newest comic original character, Belle the Tinkerer. One plot featured a villain sharing an earth-shattering revelation, and another exploiting her designs for his own plans. If you want details, you can read up on them, or watch or rewatch my past reviews. If the covers of this arc are accurate in any way, it looks like she'll suffer more. Ian, Evan, what did Belle do to you to warrant such treatment? By the way, Evan Stanley's back on writing duties for this arc. Anyway, let's dive on in, shall we? Our story begins with Sonic and Tails loading up Amy's car with the latter's experimental camping gear. She's looking forward to this trip with the girls. Sonic considers coming along, until Tails reminds him that he promised to play the new Ages game with two-player mode. Bye you two, enjoy playing that new Sinnoh game. Amy, after picking up Tangle, Jewel, and Belle, are off to Forest Ridge Zone. Tangle is ready for this little adventure, however, she wishes a certain someone is with her. There's a flashback of Whisper trying to sneak off before a jogging Tangle catches her. With Mimic on the loose again, see the Bad Guys miniseries for more details, Whisper cannot risk sticking around without endangering everyone. Tangle tries and fails to convince her to stay, and all she can do is watch her new best friend disappear once more. Likewise, Jewel and Belle had their own restoration drama, and Amy hopes this camping trip will get everyone to relax. And by everyone, I mean the whole freaking planet, it seems. Amy talks with the park ranger, and as he confirms her campsite reservation, he adds this warning. Thanks to the metal virus infecting the plants throughout the winter, they were unable to absorb any water. Therefore, he's limiting the use of fire only to certain marked areas, unless they plan to burn the forest to the ground. As the girls drive off, we see the ranger's son Ash run into the forest with his burst wisp. Yeah, this is going to end well. Everyone is setting up camp. Sort of. Despite all the high-tech gizmos he loaned Amy, Tails failed to consider the bare essentials, like, say, a match. Luckily, Belle's equipped with a fire-making finger. Yes, the wooden robot can make fire. Later that night, the girls, except for Belle, are making some marshmallows. Tangle's so distracted with things she almost burned hers. Good thing that's the only thing burning, huh? Amy gets the night going by pulling out some cards. Not your standard playing cards, or even Uno cards, but tarot cards. She explains that she's an expert practitioner when it comes to fortune telling, and to prove it, she pulls out the Master card, which means strength and leadership, appropriate for Director Jewel. Next up is Tangle. Amy picks the Chaos Fruit card. According to her, it's about the balance of opposing sides. It could be related to a showdown, a moral dilemma, or even a partnership. Tangle thinks it might be due to a lack of excitement at Restoration HQ, and she has a point. Aside from the Zeddy attack and sneaking off into that experimental tower with Belle, she's basically bored there. I'll touch upon this more in the next section, but I think there's more to the Chaos Fruit card than meets the eye. Amy moves on to Belle, and when pulling out her card, she sees something that shocks even her. Belle wants to see the card, but her clumsiness knocks the deck out of Amy's hands. It just so happens, the one that was selected landed in the fire. Wonder if it means anything. Belle starts picking up the cards, and Amy says the one in her hand, the Statue Savior, is all about mercy and protection. It's nice of Amy to deceive Belle in order to make her feel better. Everyone heads for bed, except for Belle. She goes out for a walk in the woods until she spots shrubbery in the shape of Sonic's head. As she investigates using her finger lighter, a Motobug pops out and knocks Belle down. The impact forces her offline, except for the finger lighter. Amy wakes up to the smell of smoke and spots a forest fire on the horizon. The campers are in a panic, trying to flee the area in a hurry, and the ranger is searching for his son in the chaos, believing he wandered off into the woods again. We end part 1 with Tangle going to search for the kid, while Amy and Jewel help the ranger get the people to safety. There are callbacks aplenty in this issue. One of them sets up the plot. It's interesting that long after the Melivirus has been eradicated, its after effects are still felt. In this case, the plants weren't able to absorb any water while transformed, making them easily susceptible to fire. As for the actual cause of the fire, there are 2 possible candidates. First, there's the ranger's son Ash and his burst wisp that went into the woods. You know how kids are. They can be reckless at times, and that recklessness can be damaging, especially with an alien creature that can produce fire. Quick note, I think Evan made the ranger and his son Ash bears on purpose, in a story about forest fires. Do I need to connect the dots? Only you can figure this out. While it is possible Ash and his wisp caused the fire, it can also be a red herring. Which brings us to the other possible source of the fire, the offline Belle and her still active finger lighter. Based on how it happened, I think it was a setup. The biggest evidence is the sonic shrubbery and the motobug associated with it. The last time we saw that combination was way back in issue 12. Mr. Tinker modified a motobug to do some bush trimming, and this was after Dr. Starline mind screwed him. So he was still in that mental state between Tinker and Eggman until Metal-Sonic's arrival finished the job. If it is that same motobug, someone is using it for their own sinister means. Another callback that doesn't get brought up often is Amy's tarot card ability. I like to imagine newer Sonic fans thinking, she can do that? While older Sonic fans are like, oh yeah, she can do that. She even brings up how the tarot cards led her to Sonic, which is her Sonic CD backstory. Okay, to go off on a brief tangent, does this mean the classic games happen in this universe too? Because I thought Sega at this point in time are doing the whole classic era and modern era as 2 different universes thing? You see why I'm not a fan of this idea. It leads to this kind of confusion. Seriously, why can't it just be one singular timeline? The classic era is in the past, the modern era is the future. Whatever, let's move on. Amy using the cards on the girls might be setting up things for the future. Based on Amy's reaction, Belle's card probably foretells something very bad down the line, and we might be seeing the beginning of it here. Although her fate could change because she picked up the Statue Savior card. So who knows at this point? Jewel may have lucked out with the MasterCard. Why do I keep thinking of the credit card when I say it? But I think she's linked to another tarot card related issue, and it involves Tangle. A reminder, the Chaos Fruit card is about balancing opposing sides, and one of the possibilities is partnership. We automatically think it's all about Whisper leaving the Restoration and Tangle behind. I understand why she had to leave. Mimic's on the loose again. He even declared his intentions to pay Whisper a visit, and while his imitations aren't perfect, they can be good enough to fool the average person. Tangle should understand this. She fought the guy after all, and perhaps she does. But it still stings for her to see Whisper go bye-bye. Maybe it's setting up for a future miniseries. Tangle and Whisper 2, Mimic's Revenge. That's not the only thing occupying Tangle's mind. There's the aforementioned boredom at Restoration HQ. She's only there to support Jewel, but it comes at the cost of freelance excitement. Jewel seems to recognize this based on her facial expressions. The two have been friends since childhood, and the two are opposites in different ways. The chaotic action Tangle, and the organized non-action Jewel. There is also the possibility that Jewel is worried Whisper is taking her place in Tangle's mind. A little jealous perhaps? Going back to Tangle and her need for excitement, it's also why Tangle is on this trip and is eager to go searching for Ash during the forest fire. She thrives during chaotic situations, while still doing the right thing of course. Before we wrap this up, let's briefly point out some Easter eggs. We see the return of Amy's pink cabriolet and Tails' Central City house, and behind said house is Extreme Gear. And take a look at the shot of Forest Ridge Zone's campgrounds. There's a Big the Cat cameo, of course, and who's that orange cat nearby? Besides the gloves, it looks like a thinner version of Garfield from behind. Was that Evan or another creator trying to do a small nod to this? If so, kudos. This was a decent start, allowing for nice character interactions before kicking off the story's conflict. And there's the mystery on who or what started the fire. Even though there's evidence to support two candidates, I still believe another party planned this. We have 2 more issues to find out. That's right, this is a 3-issue arc. Part 2 is scheduled to come out later this month, according to IDW's October press release. We'll see. Last minute update, as I was editing the video, IDW released the first few pages of issue 46. I'm doubling down on spoilers because the first page reveals who might really be behind the fire. Boy, those silhouettes look familiar. And there is a surprise revelation about the Motobug. But I'll save that for next time. See you then. Guys, you're playing Puyo Puyo wrong. You're supposed to play it like this.